Hello and welcome back to Bible Wits Bible Corner. Today we're going to continue in Acts chapter 12. We're going to read verses 16 through 20, starting with the English Standard Version. But Peter continued knocking, and when they opened, they saw him and were amazed. But motioning to them with his hand to be silent, he described to them how the Lord had brought him out of the prison. He said, "Tell these things to James and to the brothers." Then he departed and went to another place. Now when the day came, there was no little disturbance among the soldiers over what had become of Peter. And after Herod searched for him and did not find him, he examined the sentries and ordered that they should be put to death. Then he went down from Judea to Caesarea and spent time there. Now Herod was angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon, and they came to him with one accord, and having persuaded Blastus, the king's chamberlain, they asked for peace because their country depended on the king's country for food. New Century Version. Peter continued to knock, and when they opened the door, they saw him and were amazed. Peter made a sign with his hand to tell them to be quiet. Excuse me. He explained how the Lord led him out of the jail, and he said, "Tell James and the other believers what happened." Then he left to go to another place. The next day, the soldiers were very upset and wondered what had happened to Peter. Herod looked everywhere for him, but could not find him. So he questioned the guards and ordered that they be killed. Later, Herod moved from Judea and went to the city of Caesarea, where he stayed. Herod was very angry with the people of Tyre and Sidon, but the people of those cities all came in a group to him. After convincing Blastus, the king's personal servant, to be on their side, they asked Herod for peace because their country got its food from his country. Okay, so two different stories happening right here. First, you do have Peter finally getting the believers to open the door, and they can see that it's him. They're amazed, they're happy, they're excited. But Peter does not want a lot of loud commotion because that could draw attention to the guards that might be standing close. So he tells them to be quiet. But I believe, and to me that's self-explanatory, but how we could take that today is when something happens that we at first did not believe, and then when we see that it is true, yes, we're going to be excited, yes, we're going to be wanting to shout with joy, but depending on the situation, the circumstance, and even where we live, we might not be able to shout with joy for fear of heavy persecution. Now, the other story. Herod, he gets angry. He orders the guards to be put to death because he thinks it's their fault that Peter escaped. Then he moves to another town, and the people there are angry with him as well. So they gather together and they convince one of his guards, one of his people, to be on their side, and they try to ask for peace because, well, their lives literally depend on it when it comes to food. And again, what we can take from that today is don't get people too angry or so angry that they start making your lives more miserable. because once your life becomes more miserable, it becomes harder to do things, everyday things even. So always follow God, always do what God commands. That's the first and most important thing. Don't put yourself in a situation where you might not be defending God in a certain situation, but you're still putting yourself literally in danger, life or death. Don't put yourselves in those situations for selfish reasons. And I'm even going to say, I'm not going to sit here and say, go out and put your life on the line for God. I don't think we need to do that. I think if we just worship God, do what God commands, we're not promised a nice, easy marble slab path to heaven. We are promised a rough, rocky, curvy road to heaven. So there's going to be ups and downs, curves, whatever you want to call it. Always do what God asks. I hope you find encouragement in this, and I hope you have a wonderful, God-centered day. Bye.